The yeas are 216. The nays are 210. The resolution is adopted. The office of Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant.
The chair declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
Ain't nothing changed, nothing new here to see. This ain't nothing but some political maneuvering.
America.
Welcome to the eulogy, eat it up. It's called political buffoonery.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to This Week in DUMBmocracy, where we showcase some of the dumbest newsmakers of the week. So I don't know if you guys heard about this obscure news story coming out of D.C., but the House took a vote to vacate the Speaker of the House. Kevin McCarthy is out. First time in American history that this has happened. Wow, it's a pretty big deal. It's such a big deal, in fact, that I'm not going to even try to bother to break this all down. It's a lot to do, first of all, and you guys have tons of other videos to watch on this very same topic. So I'll leave it to the pundits, the prognosticators, the politicos out there that are able to have such confidence in their belief to know what's going to be happening. But to me, the truth is, nobody knows what's going to happen at this point. This is unprecedented. We're in uncharted territory. Plans are still being formulated. Tactics are being discussed as we speak. And it's going to be about a week before we see any action in Congress. Besides, any discussion that happens right now analyzing this whole situation, it's all inside baseball. Continuing resolutions, regular order, appropriations bills.
Boring.
Ain't nobody got time for all that, especially when we're browsing through YouTube, right? So let's get to what you're here for, and that's the petty. And the petty starts with this guy right here, Matt Gaetz. But before we get to everything, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and if you like what you hear and see in this video, please be sure to smash that thumbs up button, like, comment, share the show with your friends, all that good stuff. Matt Gaetz, he's an agent of chaos, man. The catalyst behind all that is going on in D.C. right now. And honestly, I'm here for it. Because if you're someone like me that believes that Washington is broken and we can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, because frankly, that's insanity, then you're okay with Gaetz throwing a monkey wrench into the works here and upsetting the normal order of things in the swamp. Now, whether or not that's going to be a good thing ultimately for Republicans, that's up in the air right now, and we'll see by this time next year. But I doubt that anybody's going to care about regular order, appropriations bill, continuing resolutions,
Boring.
and all the monotonous procedures of the House when they go and they vote in November. Because frankly, those issues fall away when you talk about kitchen table issues that affect you and I. So in the meantime and in between time, while we're a year away from all this, why not cause a little chaos? And that's what Matt Gaetz is doing here. I want to look at this particular exchange during the motion to vacate debate on the House floor. So let's start with this clip involving the now Speaker pro temp, Patrick McHenry. He was the architect of the debt ceiling deal that is touted as one of Kevin McCarthy's big accomplishments this year as Speaker. If you remember, a lot of members of the House Freedom Caucus were calling for a reckoning after the outcome of this deal.
Flashback.
Not one Republican should vote for this deal. Not one. If you're out there watching this, every one of my colleagues, be very clear. Not one Republican should vote for this deal. It is a bad deal. No one sent us here to borrow an additional $4 trillion. There's going to be a reckoning about what just occurred unless we stop this bill by tomorrow.
End of flashback.
So conservatives weren't exactly happy with it, but still, it's being touted by McHenry because he was one of the people that helped craft this deal. Now, you may notice that McHenry is speaking from one podium on the House floor, and that Matt Gaetz has been relegated to the side where the Democrats are, probably sending a message that he's a GOP outsider.
So that's against the rules, and you can't sit with us. Whatever. Those rules aren't real.
It's a very Mean Girls kind of thing that actually happened on October 3rd.
On October 3rd, he asked me what day it was.
It's October 3rd.
Yes, I hate myself for that reference too. But anyway, let's get to this clip of McHenry defending Kevin McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Every step of the way, Speaker McCarthy has been doubted. After the first Speaker vote, he was mocked, right? And after 15, they called him Speaker. And even then, it was the media and the left that mocked him. With the narrowest Republican majority in a generation, what did we achieve? We brought the president to the table when he stubbornly said for 100 days they would not negotiate on the debt ceiling. I took him at his word. The Speaker said, no, we'll get him to the table. And sure enough, we did. The result? The most conservative spending package we've seen in generations, the largest spending cuts year over year that any Congress has passed. Conservative outcomes. So I understand your position on the left. I understand that. But my friends on the right, why? And then this past weekend, so I understand the frustration on the left at what happened on the continuing resolution. But why would we have conservatives object to that? Why will we have House members object to that? We rolled the Senate. We never roll the Senate as a House. Moreover, we never roll the Senate to get less spending, and we got it this weekend. So I understand why the left is mad. What I don't understand is why some Republicans think that that's a bad thing.
As I said, a lot of inside baseball.
Boring.
He's talking about the internal politics of the legislature. And honestly, I don't think a lot of Americans are going to be following what he's saying. But basically, he's saying, why is it a bad thing that Speaker McCarthy is able to get things done? He's shown that he's been able to maneuver a lot of power with a small majority in 1/2 of 1/3 of the government. And while a wonk like me would get that point, I don't know how well that would play at the kitchen table with the average voter.
The frustration for me today, I understand where the liberals are. I know you support the constitutional order, except in a moment like this when you are questioned on that. I understand that. You can't be counted on in a moment like this with the state of the speakership. But for Republicans, why will we give up a conservative working majority for better outcomes and hand the keys over to the Democrats? Why would we do that? And furthermore, with this record of success that we've seen Kevin McCarthy and a Republican majority produce in a Washington run by Democrats, we're going to throw that away, resulting in more liberal outcomes, not more conservative ones. So I understand why the left is where you are today. You don't like an effective conservative majority, and I don't blame you. But on the right,
gentleman's time has expired. Gentleman from Florida.
And 1/2 of the crowd goes wild. Let's listen to Matt Gaetz's rebuttal here.
It is lovely to hear from the principal architect of Mr. McCarthy's debt limit deal, but here's the reality. The only Republicans in America who believe that the debt limit deal was conservative are in this chamber right now.
Ha! Got him!
Because all over America, Republicans think that when you negotiated that debt limit deal, they took your lunch money. I reserve.
Yikes. And that is why people like Matt Gaetz, because he's got balls. People like balls. They like to see someone stand up against the establishment. A lot of conservatives out there are so anti-establishment that anytime anyone shows any hint of going against the grain, they're the new flavor of the month. Matt Gaetz has been doing this for many years now and is known for being this sort of firebrand in the House. But to see a statement like that on the House floor, very rare. Usually things are very scripted, very planned out.
Boring.
This may not look like it, but that's a sign of chaos in Congress. Again, whether you like Matt Gaetz or not, there is this admirable fearlessness that he has in his willingness to go against the grain. And boy, was there ever a moment that came after this that shows exactly that. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show. Now, by far, the most shocking moment to come out of this session of Congress was this exchange between Congressman Garrett Graves and Matt Gaetz. This is the equivalent of nuclear heat on the floor of Congress.
2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the gentleman from Oklahoma for yielding. Mr. Speaker, we've been here for 8 months with one of the tightest majorities in modern history. Yet look at the accomplishments of this majority, this conservative majority, with the majority of Republicans voting for the strongest border security in my lifetime, fighting against this incomprehensible energy policy that's driving up energy costs 40%, utility and gasoline payments, pushing Americans into energy poverty. We passed legislation to unleash America's energy resources, pushing back this administration's brainless policies on energy. We've passed legislation to pull back, to stop spending $4.8 trillion that I want to make note. My friends that are carrying this motion to vacate opposed. We've passed legislation to streamline regulations, permitting, environmental laws for the first time in 40 years. Again, my friends here opposed. We strengthened work requirements for welfare to get people back into the workforce. Again, my friends over here opposed.
Pretty passionate, right? And I think he's doing a good job here of trying to outline all the positives of Kevin McCarthy's speakership. But I get the feeling, because this is a congressman and his lips are moving, that he's not exactly telling the whole story, and I'm going to hold off until I hear from Matt Gaetz.
Keep wondering, what is going on? Are we redefining what conservative is? What's going on in this country today? What's going on in this body? Where you have Freedom Works, Heritage, Chip Roy, and Jim Jordan say something's conservative, and these folks say it's not, and they're right. And all of a sudden, my phone keeps sending text messages. Text messages saying, hey, give me money. Oh, look at that. Oh, look, give me money. I filed the motion to vacate. Using official actions to raise money. It's disgusting. It's what's disgusting about Washington.
Wow, that's a low blow right there. Putting up someone's political operations on the House floor, that is a shot across the bow. Wow.
Mr. Speaker, we've watched as these folks right here that have brought up this motion to vacate have refused to pay our military service members. Refused to pay them. I want to quote my delegation member, my senator from Louisiana, John Kennedy. If we're not going to pay our service members, if they're not going to be there to protect us, next time someone invades America, call a crackhead. Let me know how that works out for you.
Yield the gentleman another 30 seconds.
Gentleman is recognized for an additional 30 seconds.
Now, McCarthy's people realize Graves is on a roll, so they got to keep him rolling.
Mr. Speaker, I've heard people talk about bad faith here. I've heard them make reference to this January agreement. My friends from Arizona, Virginia, and Florida. Let me be crystal clear. Not a single one of them were in the room.
So for context, what Congressman Graves is talking about is an agreement purportedly between McCarthy and Gaetz and his faction, establishing certain guide rails concerning the way that the Speaker will conduct business in the House. A lot of it had to deal with not putting forth bills that Republicans weren't in favor of in the majority, how to handle spending bills, and this particular motion to vacate procedure, which Gaetz negotiated so that only one member of the majority could bring this motion.
Boring.
It's a whole lot of inside baseball that you guys don't really need to concern yourselves with. If you want to, I'm sure you can find it. There are wonkier shows out there, more wonky than mine, that will be able to explain all this to you a lot better than I will. So seek them out.
Nerd. You're a fucking nerd. Nerd. You're a fucking nerd. And no one likes you.
But all in all, in about a month or two, you're not going to care. But let's keep going.
You know what? The Speaker didn't meet the targets of that January agreement. He exceeded them. The greatest savings in American history. The greatest savings in American history. Mr. Speaker, this isn't about fundraising. This is about our country. It's about our children and our grandchildren. We need to stand behind the slimmest
30
majority.
seconds.
We need to stand behind the greatest speaker in modern history that has delivered the best conservative wins for this country. I yield back.
Now let's let the applause go. Yes, very good. Yes, very good. He's hit all the marks that they wanted to hit. But let's think about those marks together for a second. First of all, he touted the strongest border legislation ever. Don't think it passed the Senate. Don't think it's making a difference on the border. We're still talking about border issues. If you watch yesterday's video, which, by the way, I'll put up in the corner right now, you'll see that there's an influx coming again at the border, that they're expecting another surge. Talked about energy policy. You and I go to the gas station every day. Are you seeing any relief in energy? I know I'm not. I'm seeing prices going up around me. And then to call McCarthy the greatest speaker ever. Okay, a little bit of hyperbole there, much? Let's see how Gaetz handles it after the applause dies down.
The gentleman from Florida.
My colleague says we've passed the strongest border bills in history. Well, guess what? Look at the border right now. We didn't use sufficient leverage in the debt limit or in any other thing to actually get results on the border. The border is a disaster, really something I don't think you're going to be campaigning on, that you fixed the border. Second, you said you streamlined regulations. What the gentleman from Louisiana doesn't tell you is that all of the regulatory reform he was just bragging about is waivable by the stroke of a pen of someone in the Biden White House. Do you really think you've got anything for that? It's a total joke. And then finally, the welfare to work that the gentleman from Louisiana said we got. The welfare programs that they said that they streamlined with their welfare to work stuff, they're actually going to grow. Because while they did work requirements, they blew out those programs with expanded eligibility. I'm real glad you guys didn't put work requirements on Medicaid. It probably would have resulted in Medicaid expansion. And when it comes to how those raise money, I take no lecture on asking patriotic Americans to weigh in and contribute to this fight from those who would grovel and bend knee for the lobbyists and special interests who own our leadership, who have, boo all you want, who have hollowed out this town and have borrowed against the future of our future generations. I'll be happy to fund my political operation through the work of hardworking Americans, $10 and $20 and $30 at a time, and you all keep showing up at the lobbyist fundraisers and see how that goes for you. I reserve.
Wow. Talk about taking a shot and giving one back. Boo all you want. I've seen what you cheer, Matt Gaetz says. I love to see that. Now, is Matt Gaetz a craven politician just like the rest of them? Absolutely. Come on, let's not get it twisted. But I love the comeback here. It was very much a Mr. Smith goes to Washington kind of moment for him. It was very much a distinguished gentleman, Eddie Murphy kind of moment here. I've been conducting cons all my life, and it's nothing compared to what you guys have been doing here. And you know what? Moments like that will resonate with conservatives, especially those anti-establishment conservatives that want to push the agenda. I think that this plays very well in a Trump base, and a lot of voters are going to look at a clip like this, and they're going to side with Matt Gaetz, regardless of whatever the facts may be that Congressman Graves was talking about. And again, I think those facts were shaded as well. So, in the sum of it all, we really have buffoonery on all sides, but one is more palatable to the American people than the other. You can talk about all the inside baseball all you want. Boring. We're not going to care. But when you create moments like that, like what Congressman Gaetz did, that sort of chaos is very appealing to very many Republicans. So I'm not here to tell you how this is going to end. I'm going to tell you how this is going to begin. It began right here with this House resolution. I don't know where we're going to go with it, but it's going to be a fun ride, so long as nobody pulls a fire alarm. So that's going to do it for me, guys. I want to know what you think about all this. Who do you think is going to be the next speaker? We know Kevin McCarthy is not going to do it. Who do you want there? Tell me in the comments. We also got a poll on our community tab for the channel. Check that out. Maybe you want to write in your own selection there. My point is there are many ways to keep this conversation going. Subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, like, comment, share the show with your friends. Take advantage of these opportunities to have a conversation about one of the more important issues we're going to see in American political history. This isn't the end of it. There's going to be so much more buffoonery, shenanigans, and all that stuff that's going to be happening every day going forward this week in DUMBmocracy.
views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called political buffoonery.